Jinger Duggar heart attack. Jinger Duggar's condition is very critical. She admitted hospital. I will explain everything. Never miss this video. Before going to the main topic, I would like to say, like this video, and please subscribe to the channel. Today, we bring you one of the most heartbreaking updates ever to come from the Duggar family. An incident that has shaken not only their massive family, but also millions of fans around the world. Jinger Duggar, beloved star of 19 Kids and Counting, known for her gentle spirit, radiant smile, and inspiring journey, is fighting for her life tonight after suffering a sudden, devastating heart attack. The young mother and reality TV favorite is now in critical condition, surrounded by her closest family in a California hospital. What happened? How did a woman so young and vibrant fall into such a dire crisis? And how is the Duggar family coping in these darkest hours? Stay with us as we take you inside the emotional roller coaster, the medical battle, the tears, the prayers, and the hope that the Duggars are clinging to as they rally around Jinger. For more than a decade, fans watched Jinger Duggar grow up before their eyes. From the shy little girl on 19 Kids and Counting to the confident, independent woman she is today, Jinger's journey has been one of courage, love, and faith. Born in December 1993 as the sixth child of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, Jinger always stood out for her quick wit and curious mind. She charmed fans with her humor and her willingness to question and grow. After meeting and marrying Jeremy Vullo, Jinger's life entered a new chapter. Together, they moved from Arkansas to Laredo, Texas, and later to Los Angeles, California, forging their own path away from the spotlight of her famous family. Jinger's openness about her struggles, her battle with anxiety, her journey to faith beyond the rules of her upbringing, and her loving approach to motherhood earned her even more admiration. But in the early morning hours of May 27th, everything changed. Sources close to the family report that Jinger had seemed perfectly healthy in recent weeks. She'd been active on social media, sharing admirable photos of her daughters and updates on her life with Jeremy. Just 2 days ago, Jinger posted a story on Instagram, smiling, energetic, sipping coffee in her favorite LA cafe. There were no signs of distress. But in the quiet pre-dawn hours, Jeremy was awakened by the sound of Jinger's voice, weak, urgent, calling for help. She was clutching her chest, her face pale, gasping for breath. Jeremy, quick to act, immediately called 911. Within minutes, paramedics arrived at their Los Angeles home. They found Jinger collapsed semi-conscious with a dangerously low pulse. The paramedics administered oxygen and began emergency measures on the scene, all while Jeremy watched in terror, holding his wife's hand, pleading with her to stay with him. The ambulance raced through the LA streets, lights flashing, as Jeremy followed closely in his car. Jinger was rushed into the emergency department at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, a world-class hospital. But for Jeremy, it felt like entering a nightmare. Doctors worked quickly, running a battery of tests, EKGs, blood work scans. The initial diagnosis: a major heart attack, medically known as a myocardial infarction. It was a shocking revelation for everyone. Jinger was only 31 years old, with no known history of heart disease. Within minutes, she was moved to the intensive care unit. The medical team performed an emergency procedure to clear a blocked artery and restore blood flow to her heart. Her condition remained extremely critical, her body weak, her heart struggling, her future uncertain. Word spread quickly. Family members were notified, and the Duggars in Arkansas scrambled to make arrangements to be by her side. When news broke, the Duggar family was devastated. Jim, Bob, and Michelle, stunned and shaken, dropped everything to catch the first flight to Los Angeles. Jessa, Jill, Joyanna, and the rest of the siblings flooded the family group chat with messages of prayer and support. Even estranged siblings, long separated by distance and disagreements, set aside their differences, united by the fear of losing their beloved sister. Outside the hospital, Jeremy's face was etched with worry. He sent out a request for privacy, but also pleaded with fans for prayers. Social media exploded with messages of support as fans around the world shared the hashtag #PrayForJinger. Michelle Duggar was seen sobbing quietly in a hospital chapel, clutching her Bible, while Jim Bob struggled to hold back tears as he spoke with doctors, desperate for any shred of hope. Jeremy stayed by Jinger's side every moment he could, holding her hand, whispering words of love and faith. Doctors gave an honest, sobering update. Jinger's condition was extremely precarious. She had suffered a significant cardiac event, and although the blocked artery had been cleared, her heart had taken a severe hit. The hours that followed were a tense emotional ordeal. Jinger remained unconscious, hooked up to monitors and life support machines. The medical team worked around the clock, adjusting medications, checking her vital signs, and praying for any sign of improvement. Jeremy, exhausted but hopeful, refused to leave her side. He texted updates to the family, who kept vigil in the waiting room, alternating between hopeful prayers and quiet tears. Doctors explained that the next 48 hours would be critical. If her heart stabilized, if her organs continued to function, she might have a fighting chance. But nobody knew what the outcome would be. As the family waited, memories of Jinger flooded their minds. Michelle remembered her as a child, always asking questions, always wanting to help with the little ones. Jessa recalled the days they spent as roommates, sharing secrets and laughter late into the night. Jill remembered Jinger's wedding, the look of pure happiness on her face as she married Jeremy. Now, faced with the possibility of losing her, the family was filled with regrets. Jim Bob tearfully wished he had called more often, listened more closely, cherished every conversation. The siblings, many scattered across the country, felt the weight of missed birthdays, forgotten texts, and lost time. But most of all, there was an overwhelming feeling of love, a reminder of just how much Jinger meant to everyone, and how fragile life truly is. As the news spread, fans across the globe expressed their heartbreak. Thousands of messages poured in on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. People shared their favorite memories of Jinger, her laughter, her kindness, her honesty about life's struggles. Some fans lit candles, others recorded video messages of support. Churches held prayer vigils. Friends and strangers alike sent cards and flowers to the hospital, hoping their love might make a difference. The Duggar family's social media accounts were flooded with prayers, stories, and artwork dedicated to Jinger. It was a testament to the impact she had on so many lives. For Jeremy, the days were a blur of fear and hope. He spent hours at Jinger's bedside, speaking to her softly, telling her stories, reading passages from their favorite books. He prayed constantly, sometimes aloud, sometimes in silence, asking God for a miracle. In his rare moments alone, Jeremy confessed to friends that he was terrified. The thought of raising their daughters without Jinger, of facing life's challenges alone, was almost too much to bear. Yet, in the midst of his pain, he remained steadfast. "Jinger is the strongest person I know," he told reporters. "If anyone can make it through this, it's her." The hospital waiting room became a second home for the Duggar clan. They took turns sitting with Jinger, talking to her, playing her favorite music, reading Bible verses. Michelle led the family in prayer circles, while the younger siblings colored pictures for their aunt, taping them to the hospital walls. Doctors and nurses offered cautious optimism. Jinger's vital signs were holding steady, though she remained unconscious. Each beep of the heart monitor was a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death. Late one night, as Jeremy sat holding Jinger's hand, he thought he saw her fingers twitch. He called for the nurse, and the family rushed in. A moment later, Jinger's eyelids fluttered, and she opened her eyes. Just for a second, but it was enough to send a wave of hope through the room. Doctors rushed to her side, checking her responses, monitoring her brain function. It was too soon to tell if Jinger would make a full recovery, but for the first time since the ordeal began, there was a glimmer of hope. Tears flowed, prayers soared, and Jeremy smiled for the first time in days. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty. Jinger drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she squeezed her husband's hand, other times she simply slept. Doctors warned that recovery would be slow and difficult. Jinger would need medication, therapy, and possibly even surgery. But the Duggar family remained optimistic. Michelle posted on Instagram, We know God has a plan for Jinger, and we are trusting Him every step of the way. Please keep praying. Jeremy updated fans, thanking everyone for their love and support. Little by little, Jinger began to show signs of improvement. Her color returned, her heartbeat stabilized, and she was able to speak a few words. As Jinger stabilized, family members continued to arrive. Jana, the family's chief caretaker, organized meals and helped care for Jinger's daughters. Jill and Jessa took turns sitting with Jinger, reading her letters from fans. Jim, Bob, and Michelle stayed at the hospital day and night, refusing to leave until their daughter was out of danger. The Duggars, known for their strong faith, leaned on each other more than ever. Family meetings turned into prayer sessions, and every small victory was celebrated. Every smile, every heartbeat, every whispered "I love you." Across the country, fans continued to show their support. Churches held special services for Jinger, and local communities organized fundraisers to help with medical costs. News outlets reported on her progress, sharing messages from fans and friends alike. Even former 19 Kids and Counting cast members, some of whom had not spoken in years, reached out with messages of love and forgiveness. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. For the Duggar family, it was a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle. After days in the ICU, Jinger finally spoke. Her first words were a whispered "I love you," directed at Jeremy and their daughters. There was not a dry eye in the room. Michelle fell to her knees in gratitude, and Jim Bob hugged his daughter, tears streaming down his face. The siblings gathered around, showering Jinger with hugs, kisses, and laughter. It was a moment of pure joy, a testament to faith, family, and the power of love. The ordeal changed the Duggars forever. They learned the value of every moment, the importance of forgiveness, and the strength of their faith. Jinger's recovery became a symbol of hope for so many facing their own struggles. Jeremy spoke publicly about the importance of listening to your body, seeking help, and never taking your loved ones for granted. Jinger, once fully conscious, thanked everyone for their prayers and support, promising to use her story to help others. In a special message recorded from her hospital bed, Jinger spoke directly to her fans. Jinger says, "I want to thank each and every one of you for your prayers, your love, and your kindness. I don't know why this happened, but I know that God has a plan for my life. Cherish your family, take care of your heart, and never, ever lose hope." Her words, though soft, carried a power that moved everyone who heard them. Jinger's journey was far from over. She faced months of rehabilitation, therapy, and lifestyle changes. Doctors advised a slower pace, more rest, less stress, careful monitoring. But with her family's love and support, Jinger was determined to recover. She promised to share her journey with fans, hoping to raise awareness about heart health and the importance of caring for yourself. The Duggars made a pact never to take life for granted again. They promised more phone calls, more visits, more "I love yous." For the first time in years, the entire family gathered for a group photo, smiling through tears, grateful for the miracle they had witnessed. Jinger, still weak but smiling, held her daughters close, knowing just how precious every moment truly was. As Jinger's story continues, we join the Duggar family in thanking you for your support, your prayers, and your unwavering love. We promise to keep you updated as Jinger recovers, and we invite you to share your own stories of hope and healing in the comments below. More update. Jinger Duggar gives birth, welcomes baby No. 3 with Jeremy Vuolo. And Jinger Duggar gets candid as she reveals shocking moments from the birth of newborn son Finnegan. And Jinger Duggar addresses rumors that her kids are disabled because she doesn't show their faces, but why? I will explain everything. Jinger Duggar gives birth, welcomes baby No. 3 with Jeremy Vuolo. Do you have 3 children and counting? Now that Jinger Duggar, a former cast member of 19 Kids and Counting, and her husband Jeremy Vuolo have had their 3rd child, their family may be complete. Jeremy Vuolo and Jinger Duggar, who starred on the family's 19 Kids and Counting reality show, welcome Finnegan Charles Vuolo, their 3rd child, on March 29. Baby is doing fantastic. Jinger stated, I'm feeling exhausted, but otherwise, it was a fairly great delivery. In a March 30 YouTube video that showed her sitting next to her partner at home while he holds their newborn. I'm just so thankful to God that we have this healthy baby boy here with us. Finnegan was born 5 months after the parents revealed in October that they were expecting a sibling for their daughters Felicity, age 6, and Evangeline, age 4. He weighed 8 pounds and 1 ounce and measured 21 inches at delivery. One of the most special moments for us was when the girls got to come to the hospital and meet this little guy, stated Jeremy, and my family as well. Felicity was super excited and amazing to see her baby brother, according to Jinger. It's so cute, Jeremy continued. That was her first comment. Even though the pair, who were married in 2016, wanted to grow their family, the news nonetheless caught the former soccer player off guard. In an October interview, Jeremy told People of his wife, "I was literally speechless when she told me. She did me a good job." Felicity was celebrating her birthday. Jinger says, "I have a present for you. The bag was from Amazon. I'm wondering, what did she get me from Amazon? Then I open it up, and I'm truly stunned by the excellent outcome." In order to surprise Felicity and Evangeline with ultrasound pictures and big sis jackets at a family photo shoot, Jinger, the sixth of Jim Bob Duggar and Michelle Duggar's 19 children, had a plan for telling the rest of their team. With the news, Felicity began to jump up and down with excitement, Jinger said. The news left Evangeline unsure of how to react. She will, however, undoubtedly embrace her new role as a big sister after the baby is born. The pair is embracing their new life as male parents, so it's not just their youngest who is taking on a new role. Jinger added, "We're happy either way." Jeremy, who said the pair is curious about becoming parents to a boy, said, "If it was another little girl, being a girl dad has been incredible." Even though she has a big family of her own, Jinger has no intention of carrying on the custom. "We had always said that 3 was a really good number." The author of People Pleaser, breaking free from the burden of imaginary expectations, remarked, "Either 3 or 4. I don't know. However, I believe that right now I'm leaning toward number 3. Jinger Duggar gets candid as she reveals shocking moments from the birth of newborn son Finnegan. In her recent birth experience, Jinger Duggar Volo is sharing more details. The 31-year-old podcaster revealed the birth tale of her newborn baby Finnegan on the most recent episode of the Jinger and Jeremy podcast. She welcomed Finnegan into the world on Saturday, March 29, with her husband and podcast co-host Jeremy Vuolo. Additionally, Evangeline, age 4, and Felicity Nicole, age 6, are the couple's daughters. When Jinger reflected on her recent experience, she acknowledged that there is still something shocking about giving birth, but she explained that in the days before her baby was born, she had an idea of what to anticipate. "I believe I had a mental image of what it would be like to relapse into labor and be admitted to the hospital, and everything I had gone through before prepared me for giving birth. Then I thought, well, I know how my body reacts to all of this," she added. "I also believed that I would be able to tell when I required an epidural and other procedures. But it's startling how it feels to be in labor each and every time when you're there again." After giving birth, the new mother of 3 ended up inducing labor. She was apprehensive about the choice at first, but she was really thankful that she made it. "I was really thankful for that because I did not want to have to delay things any longer," she explained. "You eventually get to the realization that, okay, this baby is fully cooked, and I just feel rather large, uncomfortable, and can't sleep well. In my opinion, it's time." Before the latter weeks of her pregnancy, Jinger claimed she tried not to think about the whole labor and delivery process. She admitted, "I really didn't have my hospi towel bag packed until a couple days before I went to the hospital, literally like 2 days before," as she entered the last weeks of her pregnancy. "I bought a couple of things in advance, set them aside, but I didn't really have much. I tried not to think too much in advance about it because it does stress me out a little bit," she stated. "I'm not one of those people who really has a full birth plan." Jinger claimed to be in a much better headspace than she was before going through the ordeal of bringing her newborn into the world. I was a little nervous about how everything was gonna go and not sure what it would be like to have a third kid in the house because you just can't comprehend what it's gonna be like and how each kid is going to adapt, she explained. But I think that for me personally, I've been doing so well, and I feel like I'm in a much better headspace than I was before. I think there's so much anxiety that you can feel walking into giving birth and all of that, she went on. I just prayed a lot that the Lord would make it something that was sweet, and I wouldn't continue to feel those nerves, and God's really answered that prayer. Jinger Duggar addresses rumors that her kids are disabled because she doesn't show their faces. But why? Last month, Duggar Volo welcomed a son, Finnegan, and two girls, Evangeline and Felicity Nicole, both of whom are 6 years old. Jinger Duggar Volo explains why she doesn't post pictures of her children's faces. On her Instagram stories, the 31-year-old former reality TV star responded to concerns. One fan asked her to show them her daughters before asking if one of them was disabled in some way. Despite the fact that it has been a rumor she has seen for years, Duggar Volo replied in writing that she has never answered this query. This is actually why we don't show our children's faces and choose to give them privacy. Duggar Volo stated in a letter, individuals insist on seeing them. 2. We do not want our children to experience the harshness of some people's judgments. To be honest, I find it quite depressing to see these comments. Our 3 healthy children are a blessing. This would not alter the way we post them on social media, however, even if God had decided to give us a child with a medical issue. Every human life is valuable and a gift from God. Evangeline and Felicity Nicole, all 6 years old, and Finnegan, 6 days old, are the children of Duggar Volo and her husband, Jeremy Volo. The couple shared a video on YouTube on Sunday, March 30, announcing the arrival of Finnegan Charles, their 3rd child. The baby was born on Saturday, March 29 at 5:37 a.m. The parents added, "At last, our baby boy has arrived." In the caption, "The joy is overwhelming us." As the movie started, the ecstatic parents sat down in a home bedroom while Jeremy, 37, cradled Finnegan in his arms and said, "Here's this little guy." Then Jinger said, "We're so grateful that tiny baby boy is here, even if it's been a tough day. The baby is doing really well. Overall, the delivery was excellent, although I'm feeling extremely tired now." After that, Jeremy disclosed the newborn's birth statistics. He was 8 ulbs, 1 ounce, 21 inches long, and a good-sized little baby. After a brief clip of Jinger and the new baby bonding, the couple shared one of the most special moments of Finnegan's birth, in which their daughters Felicity Nicole and Evangeline Joe were able to visit the hospital to meet their younger brother. Jinger recalls, "It was amazing. I had doubts about their ability to deal with it. I had assumed Felicity would be giddy and acting like a big sister. But then Evie Joe, although I wasn't really sure, she did comprehend that this was her newborn brother, and she was incredible." Jinger Duggar makes rare comment about growing up with her cousin Amy Duggar King. But why? Jinger Duggar is reflecting on her bond with her cousin Amy Duggar King as a child. "I guess they decided to do an expansion. Since we lived next to the First Baptist Church of Springdale," Jinger, 31, remembered on the Wednesday, May 21 episode of her and husband Jeremy Volo's podcast of the same name. "I think they wanted to acquire it for a long time. They only desired the small piece of land in between the cow fields that encircled us." Jinger added that the Christian school across the street from the family's home was attended by her cousin Amy. When Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar welcomed their 7th child, they'd relocated their family to what is now known as the Big House. She would occasionally stop by, or, like, if we knew she was over at the playground, we'd scream out, "Amy!" We'd try to yell. Jinger stated on the podcast, "During recess, I believe she made her way to our house across the street on 1 or 2 occasions." Jinger's parents, Michelle, 58, and Jim Bob, 59, homeschooled her and her 19 siblings. Terry Jordan and Deanna Duggar, Jim Bob's sister, are the parents of Amy, who is their only child. Growing up, Amy, now 38, was not subjected to the same stringent rules from Deanna, 62. Amy joked that she didn't like her relatives' wooing games in an early episode of 19 Kids and Counting. Amy stated on screen, "I would probably ditch my chaperone. I'm not the person you want to chaperone your children. Basically, I'll let them do whatever they want. Now hurry up. You and Aunt Michelle were probably not like that when you were younger. Before they were married, I'm fairly certain they shared a kiss." Amy, who married Dylan King in 2015 and had a kid named Daxton 4 years later, still lives in the Duggar's home state of Arkansas and occasionally visits her family. Amy stated to Entertainment Tonight in July 2020, "I believe we are all just trying to find our path, and we're all just doing things differently. I'm content with my current situation, and I'm doing things differently. I'm glad for them. Despite the fact that things have changed, I'm glad for everyone. I'm doing well and sending my best wishes to my family. It is amazing that I am free." Last month, after Amy disclosed Dylan's current health crisis, cousins Jinger, Jill, and Jessica posted prayer requests on social media. Amy regularly sees Jill and Jessa in Arkansas, but Jinger and her family of 5 reside in California. Jinger Duggar Volo had loved ones who were very unkind when her book exposed her family's church. According to Duggar Volo, whose new book People Pleaser will be out on January 14, "It was the best thing that I could have done, to love these people by sharing truth." However, her willingness to speak up against wrongdoing hasn't always been well welcomed by those around her. Of her 2023 book, Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear, the former Counting On star criticized the preachers of the Institute of Basic Life Principles, IBLP, her family's contentious ultra-conservative Christian organization, and its minister Bill Gothard. Even though it was difficult, she had to overcome her inclination to appease people by remaining silent when it was most necessary so that she could express her opinions. Jinger tells people that she sought to focus my thoughts on how can I love and serve the people who've been so hurt by this teaching, without thinking what all the critics are going to say when she rejected the doctrines she had been taught by her previous church. Putting all of that aside, I'm going to say no, I want to do what I feel called to do, which is to speak the truth, she goes on. So let me just put on my blinders and focus on that and share my story. And then whatever the outcome is, I know I've done what I'm supposed to do. For Jinger, not being consumed by this fear of speaking up actually was so freeing, she said. There were detractors, indeed. She goes on, yes, there were people who were saying really harsh things. There were family members who would say quite cruel things. The task was not simple. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that it was the right choice. To love these folks by telling the truth was the best thing I could have done. That was something that was freeing for me because the more that I'm thinking clearly through the why behind I want to speak truth, I need to stand up for the vulnerable, she explains. I could never have accomplished that with my previous people-pleasing habits. I wouldn't have said anything. In People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations, her most recent book, which was published on January 14, Jinger discusses how her attempts to please people ultimately worked against her. Whenever I first realized I was a people pleaser, I saw elements of it when I was younger in my life, she reveals. There were many times where I would think, oh man, although I detest it, I simply didn't know how to break free from my obsession with what other people think of me. In the book, the former cast member of 19 Kids and Counting shares how she dealt with her people-pleasing problems and offers a surprising solution, but she acknowledges that she's still a work in progress. After finishing Becoming Free Indeed, I believe I began to realize that something had changed within of me. There was a significant shift from that intense desire and desperation, she claims. I admit I'm not flawless. Although I haven't reached my destination or figured out everything, she continues, I'm just sharing my journey and the steps I've seen to just be able to think differently. I think it all starts in our thoughts. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.